What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hurt Business Podcast. I'm your host, Faris Sharari, and today, one of my favorite moments that happened over this past week in combat, Mr. Ross Turbo Levine. How are we today, champ?
I'm good, man. I'm chilling. I got my little coffee. Still down here in Austin, Texas, just hanging out. We're headed home a little later today, so just checked out of the Airbnb, getting some coffee, relaxing, see the town a little bit more, and then back to work, man.
Nice, nice. Well, of course, you're in Texas because you headlined a karate combat event over the past week on Thursday night. Spectacular second round TKO. Let's start. The celebration was one of the coolest things I've seen. Can you explain that a
Yeah,
little bit?
yeah.
Where did that come from?
I don't know, man. It just it was natural. It just kind of came out. It was just like a sophisticated. So like, look how sophisticated I am.
Hell yeah.
So the logo was the Squid Grow logo. So
Mm.
Squid Grow was awesome, man. If you're into crypto or know anything about that, the guy who owns that he goes by the name Shibtoshi. He's an absolute beast, man. Like responsible for one of the biggest trades in like crypto history, and he's making all of these like tremendous projects now to move like cryptocurrency basically towards the present. Right now everyone kind of looks at that as the future, but it's really here already. So he's got a whole lot of crazy things lined up, and because the Karate Combat event was at Consensus, which is like the biggest crypto kind of conference in the U.S., um, his company wanted to become the platinum sponsor of Karate Combat. So that's kind of where it started. And then he was like, you know what? If I'm going to have all these people with eyes on Karate Combat, I might as well have some fighters
Mhm.
that they can cheer for. So he decided to sponsor a couple of the influencers on the fight card, and then he wanted to sponsor me, which I was super, super grateful. So we got to meet and talk, and talk about a couple different things and get to know each other a little bit more. So I was like, man, if I knock this dude out, I'm going right over to that logo because everyone should know that he's the freaking man. So
Hell yeah.
that's what I did.
So that's the Squid Games
Squid Grow, Squid
Squid
Grow.
Grow. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
the show, the Squid Games. Did you get into
No, no,
that
no.
shit?
I watched it. I watched a little bit of it because my wife was really into it. And there's a second season now, right?
I think so. I think so. I never
Yeah, I didn't.
but
Yeah, I didn't get too far in it. I need mindless television.
oh, okay.
So if I'm watching TV, it's usually like something that means absolutely nothing. It's like totally drama based. Like, I don't know. I can't, it's hard for me to follow stuff.
Yeah, yeah, fair. I mean, some of those shows you need like the ultimate commitment. They're like 25 seasons. It's like, what are we doing
Yes,
here?
yes, yes.
But
I've done my fair share of those.
respect. I love the celebration, man, especially like after such a moment where it's just like a holy fuck moment and all those emotions for you to just be so calm and like sophisticated, as you said, just like, look
Yeah,
at me.
yeah.
Tell me about that moment, man.
I'm sure you probably heard many other fighters say this, but like I go over these moments so many times in my head to the point where it becomes so real that it's almost like I've been there already. So it's like it just comes to fruition the way that I envisioned it, which is kind of cool. It's one of those like you manifest it, you keep putting it out into the universe, and then it happens. It's like, oh, okay, this is exactly what I expected it to be. So when you prep yourself, it's all about preparation, right? When you're doing all those proper things, then those good things will happen, and they happen the way that you want them to.
Mm. Could you have imagined a better outcome of that fight?
Maybe I wouldn't got hip tossed like I
Mm.
did. that
Yeah.
dude, that dude took me for a ride. I was quite embarrassed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But hey, man, it is what it is.
Yeah, you
Sometimes you got to go through a little bit of that.
mm, you got him back in the end. A beautiful technique on your end. And in between rounds, your coach was calling for that high kick.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Tell me about the coach. Give him a shout out.
Yeah, so that's Andrew Cornell. Andrew Cornell is the head coach over at Pride Martial Arts. That's my home gym. Jake Manini was right next to him. Unfortunately, he wasn't mic'd up, but he had some real good stuff to say too. He was piggybacking on what Andrew said about paying the knee one more time. He was telling me just to kind of flick the jab to get him to engage, and then that's where it was. But this is stuff that we had worked on, man, all camp long. Like we knew he was going to catch kicks. We knew he was going to be hard to find. We knew that he was going to attack, pull, counter. So it was just a matter of figuring out all of his reads. And yeah, we knew that the knees were going to be basically the bait for him. So when you have a blitz fighter who is going to try and time that big entry, there's nothing better to meet those guys with than a brick wall of a knee. That's what shuts down that blitz game real fast. And in the end of the first round, I hit him with two really good knees that really slowed him down. So I just had to kind of wait, let it marinate a little bit and come back with the big one. And yeah, set up the head kick. It's just, again, man, we just work so hard on stuff like this. And I have such a good team that game plans and knows me inside and out. So just to hear that in the corner, it's like, all right, boom, I dialed it up, figured out when I needed to do it, and we made it work.
Like less than a minute later, it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was that the game plan coming into the fight? Was throw the knees to set up that high kick?
Absolutely. If you can actually go back. So I'm doing more work on my YouTube now, especially now I'm gonna have time with my retirement. I'm sure we'll get to it, but I'm gonna be doing a lot more work on my YouTube. But one of my videographers, or not one of, I only got one of them, Nico Safiolis.
Legend.
He's been my videographer, and he's killing it. And if you watch the episode 1 and episode 2 from the All Access this week, I mean, that's all you see me and Jake doing in our pad work. Is all knees. We just knees, high kick setups, knees and high kick setups. So it's pretty wild, man. And then we got the final episode, or we might split it into 2, or we might do one like really long form episode. But this last one's going to be a banger too.
Nice. Are you guys doing some vlogging too? Some outside fighting stuff?
We will. Yeah,
Nice.
that's the plan. I think moving forward, especially now, like I said, I'm going to have some more time on my hands. But I would love to start doing like some tutorials, some PT stuff. I got a lot of really cool ideas, and I think a lot of people were surprised that I pulled out the big R word. But yeah, I got a lot of really cool things on the horizon, so I'm excited for this next piece.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm excited to talk about that for sure. But before we get into that, I want to shout out Nico and shout out Jake Manini, two guys you have in your corner. Talk about their impact a little bit more. Nico's doing like documentary level videos for you on the weekly basis, which I love. And of course, Jake's one of the best striking coaches on our scene.
It's so crazy, it's such a full circle moment with me and Coach Jake. When I first came to Rhode Island and I was competing at the amateur level, I was competing against that guy all the time. I fought 2 guys from Hard Knocks, and they were almost like the enemy, and then it became just one of those things where it's like, all right, well, we fought each other enough. We should start training together. So we started training together. And then it was like, hey man, I would love for you to be in my corner if you would be okay with that. Andrew's super open to just me being successful. So that's what we did. We just built a super team, and then, having Nico on board is great too, because he's just like growing so fast in the game. If you go back and watch like my documentaries from when he was in Vegas with me, the last episode blew me away. And then the first episode of this one, so that was December. From December to now, it's only been 6 months, and his skills have just like boom, straight through the roof. I mean, he's got such tremendous potential. So I'm very blessed for him to be, kind enough to work with me. And then yeah, so I mean, we talked about Andrew, we talked about Jake. My nutritionist Trisha Cornell is a tremendous piece of everything. And then the one person that no one has ever seen before was finally in my corner, Jody Tension. So Jody is my sport karate coach. He's been with me since I was 16 years old. So we've got 20 years of experience together. I finally got him in my corner for my last fight. And yeah, we didn't get to, again, he wasn't mic'd up, but he was the one that was telling me, hey, give him those fakes, break them up a little bit, cover the distance. And you watch all those things kind of pull apart Adrian's game plan. And it was the perfect combination to lead to an amazing result.
Sounds like a power team. Sounds like a super team. Sounds like
we were joking all week that it's we finally assembled Captain Planet.
You guys assembled the 2024 Boston Celtics.
Word,
Let's go.
That's it.
I love that for you, and what a night that was. The Celly, and then you walked over to a legend, an absolute legend on earth, in Joe Rogan, and shook his hand. What was that moment like? I seen you guys had like a brief conversation. What was said, and how did that feel for you?
Yeah, so sick, man. I mean, like, again, like I knew Joe was going to be there. I found out a couple days prior, so just for him to be there. And what I told him, I was like, well, I shook his hand. He said something along the lines of like, very impressive, fantastic kick, like great job, congratulations. And I told him, thank you so much. It means the world to me, Joe. Like, you're the man. Just you being here elevates this whole event. So thank you. So
Mm,
I just thanked him for being there, man, because it's like until you get the eyes on the product, it doesn't matter how good it is, right? If Apple didn't have like that massive pump to like get into media, you wouldn't know about Apple phones. You know what I mean? Now everyone's got an Apple phone.
mhm,
So, it's just like that, man. Someone like Joe Rogan to just be in the building, and it's like it just draws so many eyes. I mean, my followers bumped up quite a bit, I'm sure, just from that one clip.
mm.
So it's really, really cool that he would take the time out of his week, especially knowing he had to be in Newark for UFC 302. He was here a day before those weigh-ins to be a part of this and enjoy the fights. And I'm just very, very blessed and fortunate. And it was cool for me to have that moment with him. It's like the 1%. There's not a lot of people that get to hang out and talk with Joe. So
That's
maybe
that.
hopefully this spirals and we can do a little JRE episode. That would be sick. But you never know, man. Just that moment alone was good, and I'm very honored, very humbled.
Mm. It was a super cool moment. I would
Mm.
itch and scratch at a Ross Turbo JRE episode. That'd be sweet stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
but next to him, there was Tony Hinchcliffe, Shane Gillis, like some comedy legends.
Did you
Did
see? Did you see Shane getting killed in the comments?
No, I didn't pay, but
Oh, you
that
good.
picture was so funny for the rap he gets of just being special. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. So he's getting crushed in the comments right now because so when I walked up to the pit and I bowed, Shane like looked up at me and was just like like he thought I was bowing at him. People are killing him in the comments right now. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, I love it. Are you a comedy guy?
Oh yes, we just went to the mothership last night.
Hell yeah! How was that?
That was awesome, man. It was so good. It was so good. The stage is sick. Like the setup was great. We ordered tickets a while ago, so we had a little booth.
Hmm.
Me, Maddie, two of my good buddies from home. So, we're just kicking it. The staff was great. We grabbed some merch. Like the show was incredible. Everybody was funny. Dude, it's worth the trip, man. It was
Hell
worth the
yeah!
trip, hundred
Hell yeah!
percent.
Yeah, the mothership, it seems like a destination touristy spot just in its own. Like just as a comedy guy, going out there for a night watching Kill Tony would be a dream, dude. That'd be fucking awesome. How was the Texas experience, all in all, for you?
Great. I love Texas. I'm a big fan. I've been down to Austin a bunch in my career from
Mm,
like my sport karate days. So, I'm used to it. I've been on 6th Street. I know the whole area very well. I
nice.
know the food is fantastic. We got some good barbecue after my fight. So, yeah, man, Austin is great. I have a long history of success in Austin. So it just felt like home. And I hadn't been down here in a long time. Plus, it was nice and hot. So
Mm.
it just made everything very enjoyable. So yeah, I loved it. The people are super nice down here. So it was cool, man. We had a good time.
I love it. I love to hear that, man. I love to hear it. And your post-fight interview was some special stuff, man. It was quite a beautiful moment, emotional, all in all. And I just want to shout out Combat's production team because they really made that moment so much more emotional. Panning to Maddie, panning to you, panning to your parents. It was so awesome. So from your perspective, talk us through the emotions in delivering such a speech.
Yeah, I mean it was tough, man. It was a hard day to be honest with you. Like the whole lead up to I was like rock solid all training camp. I knew so I guess I can back up further. I knew I was going to retire.
Mm,
So win, lose or draw, I knew this was my last fight before I even signed this contract. The only people that knew that were Maddie and my mental performance coach and my psychologist. That's it.
mm,
I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my coaches. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my friends. Um, yeah, I just didn't want to be treated differently. So, like throughout training camp, I thought everything was great. It was just like same old business, right? And then, yeah, the day of the fight, in my last shakeout, I got super emotional. Like when we finished our shakeout, I had my hands up, just visualization. My team's clapping for me. They're like, let's go. We're going to kill this guy, all this stuff. And I just got super emotional. And it was the first time. And then I was like, shit, I don't want anybody to see. So I was like trying to hide it. And then like the rest of that day, I was just battling like, this is my last warm up. This is my last shower before my
mm,
last fight. It was like everything was kind of getting out of control. And I just had to keep reeling back in of like, listen, man, this is gonna be your last loss if you don't straighten your ass out right
mm,
now. So I was like, all right, we're just battling that, turn the switch off, and then turn it on when I need to. So in the moment, I knew kind of the direction I wanted to go with my speech, but I didn't really rehearse it. So, I just answered some of Dean's questions. And then when I had the opportunity to kind of drop the bomb on everybody, I did. And I just wanted to make sure I paid it back to the people that really deserved it.
Mm. It was very emotional. Maddie was all in tears. It was quite the scene. Could you have drew that moment any better?
I don't think so, man. It flew, straight from the vest. Like I said, I really didn't rehearse it. I had a little bit of a blueprint of what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it, but I just kind of let my emotions in the moment take over. And I was actually surprised I kept it together. So it was good. I don't think it's hit me yet, to be honest with you. I think just because I'm still here and my friends were still around, and I've been able to celebrate a little bit. I think once I get home later tonight, and as this week kind of pans out and things get back to normal, I think it's going to really seep in a little bit. And we'll see. You know how the news cycle is. I'm going to have this like ball of excitement for the next like 3-4 days, and then we'll see. But man, I'm just really excited for. I'm very proud of myself for making these decisions. I'm comfortable with my decision, and I love where I'm at, man. I have a beautiful life.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
What led to the decision of ultimately retiring? You knew before you signed this contract. What led to it?
There's just a lot of things. When I first started professional fighting, I told myself that well, I was already a little bit older, right? So I didn't start competing as a professional in combat sports until I was 31.
Mm,
So it's kind of late to the game. So I told myself there's certain things that I want to use as a litmus test because I mean, you've been studying and watching fight sports for your whole life, I'm sure. Very few people get to leave the game the way they want to. Usually the game is what leaves them.
yeah.
And you get left in the dust. It's a very vicious cycle. So I told myself, number one, if I felt like I was not enjoying it anymore, where like I didn't have the passion to get up and go train, where I didn't enjoy training, or if I felt like I was really, really slipping in training, like the people, like I wasn't performing at the level that I should be against my training partners. Now, granted, I have world champion training partners and like they should be beating me up a little bit. But I know like my standard for myself. So if that ever changed, I would stop. Um, and then if it just didn't make sense for me, like if I felt like my body wasn't holding up, like if I was getting injured more than usual, if just things didn't go the way I wanted to, then those would be all those moments for me to leave. Fortunately for me, none of those are the case.
Mm,
So I still love what I do. I love training. I'm probably in better shape than I've ever been in. Um, this was one of my smoothest camps I've ever had. If anything, this was like the epitome of like the perfect preparation. Like I had literally zero injuries going into this camp. Um, I was super healthy. I felt great. I feel like I looked great. I performed well. I enjoyed everything. So, the reason for me to retire is, I'm going to be 37 this year. And I don't know how much more there was available for me at Karate Combat. I fought for the middleweight title 3 times, dominated the middleweight division. I fought the best fighters in that division, in my opinion. Um, we've been trying to kind of get different fights put together, and they just never panned out. So, with that being said, with between my age, the opportunities that were available, and like my timeline of like what I wanted for myself, I think it was just the right time for me to say, okay, if I can do this the way I want to, this is the window of opportunity. And I think a lot of the fighters, I know a lot of fans are disappointed because they know that I'm still capable of delivering high level fights, and I know I am. But I think for me, the real fighters know, like, you're the 1%, man. Like, very few people get to go out on top, healthy, with their brain intact, like,
mm.
and have other things outside of fighting. So it was just a perfect storm, man. This is the time.
Is there a name or an opportunity that would drag you back into the game?
Maddie, I'm doing my first interview, and this guy's asking me already. He's already asking me what name is going to bring me back.
I'm sorry, Maddie.
No,
I
no, no,
just
no,
know
no.
I know that there's at least one out there that might interest you a little bit.
There's so many fights that interest me. There's so many fights that interest me. At this point, it's not about the name; it's about the number. For me right now, like you have to understand, like, I think most fighters aren't really vocal about this, but training camp loses me money.
Mhm.
I lose money in training camp, you know? And now, granted, with this fight, I had a really nice knockout. I had some great sponsors, so I'm probably in the green for this fight. But most of my professional career, you are losing money because it takes away from my business. I'm sacrificing a lot of time with my family, with my friends, like other things that I could be doing to build my life. Um, so it would have to be life changing money.
Mm.
You know, I have a price. Everybody has their price. I'm in shape. I feel great. You know, if Karate Combat were, I still have one fight left on my contract technically. So, you know, if Karate Combat were to come back to me and say, hey, we really want you to do one more, like, we're going to blow this thing out of the water and the price is right, you never know.
I respect that. That was what I was hoping to hear.
I'm looking for shoes flying at my head and stuff. No, my wife is the best, man. We had this conversation already. She supports me. You know, we came up with that number together. So yeah, it's at that point forward, it's going to be a financial thing.
Mm.
And I'm not ashamed of saying that. I think I deserve that. Um,
Agreed.
and you know, it's like I just have so many other things that I want to do. I want to open a gym. My business is going great. We would love to relocate and start a family. Like, there's a lot of things on the horizon that are just beautiful for me. So,
Mm.
you know, would I fight again? Absolutely, but it has to move the needle.
Understood. I think that number is earned through your years of everything you've done for all the fans and sport of fighting,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully they add a zero to that number.
There you
Um,
go. That would be nuts.
um, Now you've been a world champion in a few different forms of combat. Do you have a favorite moment or favorite time in your career?
It's hard to say, man. It's hard to rank this one yet because, like I said, I haven't quite absorbed it all. I don't think. I'm not sure. I don't
Mm,
know if I can answer that just yet. I haven't been able to reflect quite yet.
fair.
Um, Man, every moment is so special. You know, it's like I think the stuff that I really enjoy and like that I will always remember is not the moments of like wins and losses or like this knockout or that knockout. Because you know when you the truth is like when you have those moments in that same moment, somebody else and their family has a really terrible moment. So that doesn't always feel good. You know, like
Mm,
yes, like I had a beautiful knockout of Adrian. The first thing I did after my celebration, I went over to his corner and I asked his wife if she was okay. You know, it's like I know that feeling because I know my wife would be devastated if that was me.
mm,
You know, so it's hard for me to say like those are my favorite moments because I know what the other side is. You know, and that's not fair. I do have a heart. I'm a doctor. Like I have that part of me that wants to help and heal people. So I know that yes, it's a job, but I also know it's a vicious sport, man.
mm.
So I think the moments that are the most precious to me are the moments that nobody sees, like just the time with my team, like the time with my friends and family, you know, before and after the fights. Like that's the stuff that I'll always have good memories of just us hanging out and goofing off. And like I think that's the stuff I'm really gonna miss, you know.
It was such a fun time watching you in your run through karate combat. Do you plan to be involved? Maybe not fighting, but like in commentary or in any of the behind the scenes? Because it seems you have a great interview style slash personality for these sorts
Thank
of
you.
things. Do you see yourself being involved in that aspect of the game at all?
I would love to. You know, it's funny because Maddie was always saying, you know, when we watch fights together, she hates watching fights because I break it down so quickly and I'm analyzing, I'm calling things that are happening before they happen. So I just love combat sports. It's
Mm.
my thing, man. And I'm like, you know, they say everyone's got a little bit of autism. Like that's my autism. Like I just that's my fight brain is just there.
Mm.
I love watching it. I love talking about it. I know a lot of the fighters, you know, both personally and just from studying, just because I enjoy it. So I would love to find myself in the combat sport realm in some way, whether it's commentary, analyzing, um, interviews, whatever it might be, a podcast. I mean, who knows? Again, I got a lot of time on my hands now, so there's a lot of opportunities. You know, the producers at Karate Combat are freaking awesome, man. The guys behind the scenes are fantastic. If I can just give a quick shout out to Todd Ferranti and you know Enrique behind the scenes. Damian Moody is one of the best you know video producers on the planet. I mean, he works for Karate Combat and Glory X Games. Like those guys are just so freaking cool, and they don't get any shine. You know, even like some of the people that worked with Karate Combat when I first started, like Adam Kovac, like Tomas, like these guys are just really awesome people that always supported me, from start to finish. So if there's any capacity for me to keep working with these people, I would love to, man. I just want to be involved in the sport. I told everybody, like, I'm not gone. Like, you're not just going to be the ghost of Ross Levine. I'm still going to be involved in combat sports, whether it's coaching. I'm obviously still going to be training. And then if I can be a part of it in another way, I would love to.
What are the ways you will be a part of it? I know you got the YouTube channel going, Turbo Sports. It was a funny moment on the broadcast. I don't know if you've rewatched the fight, but Mike was like, "Wait, he's a
He's a
doctor?"
doctor? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
People don't know, man. Fighting was my side gig.
Mm,
Like all these years, people see me like at a high level, and they don't realize that was like my passion. My full time job is I'm a doctor of physical therapy. So like I'm still like that's another a huge way. That's probably the biggest way that I'm giving back to the sport.
mm.
But yeah, as far as like camera time and like actually being involved, yeah, that's to be determined. But I think they have some ideas, and we'll kind of go over that when the time is right.
Heck yeah. Well, Ross, I appreciate the time today. Congrats on an awesome career. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure
man.
watching from as a fan. Safe travels back, and tell Maddie I'm sorry for asking the question.
Brother, those questions are gonna come all week long. I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure. But we're prepared. But yo, man, seriously, like, and you're the first. You're the first podcast I've done
appreciate it.
since the fight. You're the man. I really appreciate you. But and I'm gonna tell everybody this. Like the you don't get enough credit. You know what I mean? Seriously, because you give me the opportunity to have a platform to kind of speak on all this stuff. Without people like you doing what you do, none of these moments are like a blip,
Mm.
and the fact that you take the time out of your day to record a half hour of us just like having these candid conversations, like this stuff lives on forever. You're going to post this up, and I can go back and listen to this anytime, and people can go back, and it's almost like history.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't have textbooks anymore, but we have the internet, and like this stuff will be there forever. So for you being able to kind of stamp this, it means a lot to me. And I think fighters don't recognize that enough, and like sometimes the media gets a bad rap. But I really appreciate you, and everyone for that matter. So especially with my wife being a part of MMA media now and growing, I think it's important for fighters to appreciate it. And it's like, hey, this is our history book right here. So
Mm.
for you to take the time to be here with me, man, I really appreciate you.
It's my
Keep doing your
pleasure,
thing.
man. Thank you, brother. Those words mean the world to me, man. I appreciate that.